Sometimes in life, we can face moments where our best response is to pause and regroup. And what I mean by that is really taking a step back to truly assess the situation and then allowing your response to prioritize you most of all. And there can be some ruffled feathers. There can be some discontent with people whose access to you may need to be adjusted. But the key thing is this: prioritize yourself in that moment so that you can make sure you feel good about how things are going to proceed. Today, we're going to have an incredible conversation exactly around prioritizing our needs. Let's get into it. For the longest time, I secretly wanted more. I often found myself shrinking to fit in, settling for what was comfortable, and even selling myself short. Once I finally accepted that we deserve success and we are blessed with the power to achieve it, I stopped playing small. I'm serious about building a life I love, and you should be too. I'm Denise Taylor of DeniseTaylor.live, and welcome to Embrace Your Power. I help women prioritize themselves, their success, and their happiness. Now let's meet this week's achiever, whose story will inspire you to embrace your power and go. Well, hello there. It's Denise Taylor here. I am always excited to be connected with you each and every week right here on Embrace Your Power. Now, this is the place where you can count on me to always encourage you to build a life that you love. More than that, I believe that you can embrace your power. And when you do that, you can be, do, have, and achieve anything that you want. God has given us power. He didn't give us fear. And I want you to go for it. Go for your dreams. Go for the thing that you envision yourself accomplishing, because God's going to give you the power to do it. Now, I believe you'll be divinely inspired. You'll be divinely inspired to partner with Him to do something amazing. But there is nothing that can hold you back when you release your faith. So I want you to believe and know that you've got the power to do it. Now, I don't know if you're listening to me on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or if you're watching on YouTube, but what I do know is I am excited about being connected with you. Thursday is treat day, and I look forward each and every week to making this connection. I consider it an honor and a privilege to be in your weekly lineup, to know that I can be a part of your success journey. I have to tell you, that makes me feel real good. And so if you haven't yet hit the subscribe button, be sure to do that now so that we don't miss a beat. Now, around these parts, I talk a whole lot about the success superpower. So if you are new, you need to go to my website so that you can get caught up. You can go to www.successsuperpowers.live. And when you get there, I got a short video where I'll talk more about the success superpowers. And I have a free ebook that you can download so that you can begin to incorporate them into your life. Now, there are 5 of them. The first one is see yourself successful. The second is shake off fear. The third is do the work. And number 4 is take care of you. And number 5 is hold fast to your faith. Now, I'm not going to unpack them all, but if you will go to the website, you're going to get everything you need to get caught up to speed. So be sure to visit www.successsuperpowers.live so that you can be in the know. Now, this week we are talking about prioritizing our needs. And it's so unfortunate, but many of us make everything and everyone else more important than what we really need. And what I want you to lean into is making yourself a priority. Now, some of you have heard me talk before, especially if you follow me on social media, about how we don't find ourselves in our own top 5. We've got a lot of life going on. We are juggling all of the things, and we even talk as if we are important, but somehow we fail to make our top 5. And so my push to you is to make sure you're prioritizing you too. I want you to be a part of your own priorities. And so today we're having a fantastic conversation. I'm so excited to introduce Ashley to you. I think you're going to be encouraged by her story, how she had to lean into prioritizing herself, setting appropriate boundaries so that she could ensure a healthy recovery in her healing journey. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about Ashley. Ashley is a community manager for Yelp Charlotte. She is passionate about promoting local businesses and curating events. Ashley is an experienced manager with a demonstrated history of working in the hospitality industry. Ashley is a strong sales professional with a bachelor's degree focused in business management, marketing, and related support services from Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. We all know that that's FAMU. My conversation with Ashley is going to help you be able to understand why prioritizing your needs is increasingly important, especially now as you're trying to juggle life. Take a listen, and I'll see you on the other side. So I'm really excited to have Ashley join me today. I got a chance to experience Ashley sharing her story and her testimony, and I thought it was just powerful. She spoke a lot about some of the work she's doing to energize community and building community through her job. And then she went on to share a little bit about her personal journey of healing. And so I asked her if she would come on and talk about her experience and her journey. And she graciously agreed to join me today. Now, she doesn't have a big platform she's pushing. She's just an everyday person with an incredible job to make great impact. But with that, we can all relate to what you have gone through. And I think that's where the power of your testimony is. And so I want to thank you for stretching yourself and saying yes to doing something new. And I appreciate you trusting me with your story in this way. And why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone, and then we'll unpack it together.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me. Hello, I'm Ashley Finney. I live in Charlotte. I've been here for about 12, 13 years. So just very excited to be doing this with you today.
Awesome. Now, one of the things that I will tell you, you really enlightened me on is when you were talking a lot about your role with Yelp and how you guys are doing a lot of community building, not only with the business partners that you're aligned with, but with just people in general to bring us together around events and bring us together around supporting Black businesses. And so I thought that that was really cool. So tell us a little bit of that side of Yelp by what you get a chance to do.
Yeah, definitely. So I am currently the senior community manager for Yelp Charlotte. And I think when a lot of people think about Yelp, they just think about reviewing a restaurant. And that is definitely probably what we're most known for, but it's so much deeper than that. My job essentially is to connect people that use Yelp with local businesses in different ways. So we do that with our social media page. So I run our Instagram page. So I'm always sharing content, and we just started doing this thing, which is like a meet the owner reel, where we go and film an owner and ask them quick questions and film some content. And then we share it as a reel to introduce our audience to those owners, people they maybe never knew even owned that business before. And now it kind of gives them a face behind the business. But also one of the big things we do is have different events every single month for our Yelp Elite Squad, or just a regular Yelp event for anybody with a Yelp profile. And so that actually physically gets those just random consumers, right? These are not Yelp employees. These are just normal people, normal everyday people. That gets them into the business, in front of the business, actual bodies in seats to actually go out and check out a business, again, they maybe never heard of or never would have gone to because maybe it's not on their side of town, or maybe it's something they were nervous about. Maybe it is a Black owned business or Latinx owned business. And they're like, ooh, I don't know if I'd ever check it out. But now I'm opening that door for them to connect with these different businesses and come out and have community with the other Yelpers too. Because usually our Yelp Elite events are kind of just for the Yelpers, so they all can kind of get to know each other more there. The owners are always there, so they're talking to folks, getting to know them. So we have a lot of fun. Last month we had 4 events. It was really crazy, but it was a really good time. So it's just been really great to be able to connect these different business owners who maybe didn't even know I was here with our local Yelpers who maybe didn't even know they were there. So it's really building this bridge between the people that want to go check out these businesses and the business owners that want them to come in. So I'm really happy to be able to facilitate that every single month. So
yeah, I thought that was really cool because I know for myself, I tend to leverage Yelp when I am traveling and I do want to find out a review or some place to try or put in some kind of cuisine and find out what's near me. And so to hear how you're really synergizing community, I thought was pretty amazing. Now, many of us don't have the opportunity to really professionally align our day-to-day job with something that we have a heart to do. But one of the things that rang out very clear to me is that you do have a heart to build community and be an advocate in this way. And so how does that feel to be able to bring the two together, that I get to do this for a living kind of thing?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's a blessing. I really can't say much more other than I'm grateful. Sometimes it's surreal because it is such a great job, but it's just as great as it is crazy. It is busy. It is stressful. It's event planning, right? That's a big part of it. But then I also get to network and build and then maybe start working with the business early this year. And then by the end of next year, they have 3 locations and I was a part of that building for them. So it's really interesting. I guess I don't really know what to compare it to, but it's like I have this awesome job and I love it. But then sometimes I'm like, ooh, I need a couple of days off. Like it drains you, but it feels really good. And sometimes even the weight of it is like, I want to be so good at this because I know I'm impacting real people's lives. And sometimes even that is stressful because I just want to do good. So it's a gift and a curse, right? Is what I tell a lot of people, because people always want to talk to me about my job and they think it's so cool. And I'm like, yeah, it's great, but sometimes I'm losing hair. Like, it's not all roses all the time. It's a lot of work. But I feel like, with great, what's the phrase, with great something comes great responsibility, right? It's like you're given this thing, but like now you have to cradle it. Now you have to nurture it and make sure it's good. So it's a lot. I'm blessed. I'm grateful, but I also understand what I have. And I know that I need to take care of it and maintain it, but also take care of me and maintain me. So
that is a huge point. So one of the things that I talk a lot about is, what I call the success superpowers. And you keyed in on one of them, which is we've got to be willing to take care of ourselves. And so what you kind of alluded to in that is that this mantle of greatness that we carry, it's heavy. It's a heavy responsibility. It's a heavy accountability. Even though we can be head over heels in love with it, it still comes with stress. It still comes with demand. It still comes with responsibility. And so because of that, we have to position ourselves to have a really good self-care strategy. And I think when I heard you telling your journey, right, you discovered the necessity of that with some of the health challenges that you ran into. And you talked a lot about what you got out of the healing process. And so I think once you go through that experience, at least I can speak for myself, I became keenly aware that I needed to take care of myself after you go through recovery and you go through surgery. You just have such an innate kind of sense of, I got to do a better job on all these aspects of who I am so that I can make sure I'm fit for the journey. So I 100% get it. I have to tell you, every time I hear you talk about how you're energizing the community through your position, I think that's a phenomenal thing. You, as you said, instead get the opportunity to be able to see businesses transform and grow. And that's a powerful seat to sit in. So thank you for doing that. I'm sure a lot of small business owners are very appreciative of how you've been able to help them through your day-to-day job. The other thing that stuck out to me, when I heard you sharing your story, was your healing journey. And for as much as you're comfortable, tell us a little bit about your experience and what that was all about, because there's a lot of revelation that comes when you go through it. And that's what I think I heard more as you were sharing.
Oh yeah, definitely. And of course, I'll try not to be long-winded, but it's so interesting because I think I shared this information. When was that event? Maybe in like
November.
Is that okay? And I was still going through it at that time. Truly, like I've probably, just for full disclosure, I've probably just for the last 30 days been like completely okay, right? So even in November, I was still just struggling, right, with a lot of different things. So I guess like I had a surgery in August, which was pretty intense. I was out of work for 2 months, could barely walk for most of that time. You know, I had to have people come over and cook for me. I stayed with my parents for a couple weeks. And then as I healed, I just, you know, you're sitting around watching Netflix. You can't really move. You can't go out. You're there with your thoughts, and a lot comes up. I mean, you know, people say they, you know, do that, you know, demon work or whatever it is. Like just, you have nothing else to do but be with yourself, right? So you kind of I went in and out of like happiness, depression, excitement, just defeat. You know, I went back and forth, and I really started to look at my life and the people in it. Because one thing I unfortunately realized is that I had people that I thought were my friends were really just my acquaintances, right? So because of my job, which again, going back to why it's really, really great, but sometimes it's not so great, people will come to me for things like, hey girl, what do you like for brunch? What brunch spots do you like? Or what's a great place to take my, you know, significant other to, whatever. But as I was healing and really still going through a lot health-wise, literally being taken to the hospital in an ambulance and all kind of stuff, right? People are asking me these things still, texting me, knowing that I had surgery, knowing that I'm recovering, to the point where somebody texted me and was like, hey, can you give me some top brunch spots? And then I'm like, well, maybe they don't know I had surgery. Just thinking, trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Of course, me being me, I shoot them some brunch spots. I don't say anything. And their next text is, oh, and how you recovering? And I'm like, wow. So you knew I was recovering from a major surgery and you still proceeded to ask about yourself first. And then, so to me, but it was like, I needed that. Like I needed that retrospective to get back to myself. And so long story short, a few months after that, I ended up completely changing my phone number. So to me, I was taking my peace back. Like, and this is from a standpoint of some people that I thought were my friends and some professional stuff too. Like some people I connected with, they were a little bit overzealous, right? Where, hey, maybe let's keep communications to emails. You know, some people don't operate like that. But it was me putting my boundary back up, like, hey, this is my personal cell phone. Yelp does not give me a work phone, you know what I mean? So I need work-life balance. And the reason I feel like, you know, my health was so bad was because I was making poor decisions in my career and in my personal life, as far as not working out as much, eating too crazy, you know, all these things affected what was wrong with me. So I had to get my power back and change my number. And that has been like, it has drastically changed my life, to not be so accessible unless I give you permission to reach me, right? Whether that be, yes, you can text me, or here's my new number, or, hey, let's chat via email only. That way I can keep it in between these specific hours. But that was one major thing for me, because I'm a very friendly, sociable person. I'm a military brat. I lived all over the world. Growing up, we moved every 2 years. I was constantly the new girl. So I can literally talk to anybody. Like, I love it. I love meeting new people. I love it. And again, a gift and a curse, because I open myself up to so much. And it's like, people will give you whatever. They'll pour on you their negative energy. They'll call you to vent, and they don't even care what's going on with you. And, you know, me being as nice as I am, I think I just let people take advantage of me. Not, you know, I'm not playing the victim here. I'm like taking control. Like, no, I did that, and now I'm changing it. So now I'm not allowing that to happen. And so looking back even to November, like I can sit here and say like I'm proud of how far I've come even from November, not even including everything I went through in 2022, because I think shortly after that event, I had a second surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And so just, and that's why I was like, so much has happened since then. And I just have been through a lot, and I just love the space I'm in now, because with work, there's much more balance, even though it's still crazy. There's balance there now. I've gotten the power to speak up, where I did let somebody in professionally with my personal cell. And they ended up texting me multiple times about work stuff, to where I was like, and I nervously did this, right? It's like, you can be afraid and still do something, right? And I responded like, hey, I appreciate you reaching out, but we need to keep these conversations to email. This is my personal number, and I don't like to work on that via text or whatever. And that might sound super small, right? But for me, that was huge. It's like, I said I was going to do a thing, and now this is me backing myself up and keeping those boundaries. And I was just really proud of that, because to me, that's growth. Like, the person you were in 2022, the end of the year, struggling, is not who I am anymore. And I'm not operating in that space anymore. So it was just really, it's been a long, long journey, but it has been such a beautiful journey. And I'm just so like proud of myself, which I don't even say very often, but I've just come a long way. And now I'm just trying to keep that momentum as I grow in my career. And now I was able to hire an intern and get some help. And, things are just looking a little different and better. So I'm just grateful for the journey that I'm still on, but I feel like very much so on the other side of it now. So.
Wow. Ashley, that was amazing. I think it's going to challenge all of us to do is to really consider our boundaries. And as you were talking, I posted something the other day. My daughters tell me that I tweet on Facebook. They're like, Mom, you tweet on Facebook. But anyway, so I posted something the other day that said, I'm sorry that I allowed you to disrespect my boundaries. And when I let you violate them, that makes them sort of kind of boundaries instead of actually being boundaries. And I agree with you that we have the responsibility to ensure they are honored.
Yes.
And most of the times people begin to violate them and not honor them because we allow them to do so. And so when you talk about speaking up and saying, hey, this is not for that purpose, you cannot interact and engage with me in that way. I love how you even use the words, I took back my power, right? Because that's incredibly important. When you begin to recognize that. And that's a lesson we all need to learn. Whether it's the result of wanting to validate ourselves or the result of people pleasing or whatever the case may be, we all need to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable to our boundaries, because we are showing by example what we are expecting other people to do. And so I think that that's a phenomenal lesson in practice. And I do understand that it doesn't come easy. I've started to introduce some things in my own work week and people don't understand them. I had a girlfriend who tried to reach out to me in the morning, and I don't take calls in the morning. The morning is my zone of genius. That's when I'm operating at my best. And so I want to stay focused on the things that require my best effort, and chit-chatting on a phone call is not one of those things that I would give to my best time of day. But I have to create that boundary. And so I completely understand that. The other thing that you said that I can relate to 100% is when I was home on medical leave and I was recovering, our daughters were away at college. My husband was working long hours. I'm not a huge television watcher, so I too was engulfed in silence. And there is something about sitting with yourself in silence that will really make you go inward, and you do have all manner of emotions. But if you would just sit there, you will find yourself discovering things, whether it be truths or whether it be change or whether it be pivots or whether it be shifts or whether it be mindsets. You discover all these things about yourself that you truly can level up in. And if you in that moment will lean into that, right? What you are getting in that silent moment. I actually refer to it as I was in a silent camp. I really felt like I was, because I didn't have anybody to talk to and there was nothing coming into me. And so I felt like God met me there. I felt like he inspired a lot of things that really birthed a lot of what I'm doing today. I got a really great sense of what my call was. And so I know how transformative that can be because I experienced that myself. When you think about it, right, and you think about when you're now stepping back into that normal, you talked about what you were proud of yourself for, but anything shift with your priorities, anything shift with your awareness, any other learnings that you got from stepping back in?
I think I think my spirituality got stronger, more so after my recovery when I was still going through health issues. Because I had to basically multiple times a week have an iron IV infusion. And basically where that is located is where there's like cancer patients getting, what's it called when they
Chemo?
Yes. So I'm sitting in a room, big room with people that are suffering from like blood cancer and stuff like that. It really put things into perspective. Like, yeah, this is really bad for me, but it isn't even close to what these people are going to. So even while I was suffering, I saw them suffering more. And I was grateful to God that like, thank you that I am at least not dealing with that. Right. And so for me, I kind of lean more into like gospel music and just different things looking into. And when I had nothing else. I was like, I just want to hear that there is something higher than me, that I'm not in this alone. So that for me, that's something I put into play. Now that things are better, I'm always like, don't forget about God because you happy now, sis. But like, so I'll still do what I was doing back then to get me through. Even if I'm having a good day, I still throw my gospel on. I still read something. Like I still make sure I'm feeding myself spiritually, because I never want to just be like, oh God, I need you when it's bad. And then now that you help me out, I'm all set. So I definitely still try to keep that up, as well as I was really not physically active at all before all my health issues, which I think led to some stuff too. But then of course, after I wasn't, because I had all these things going on, recovering and still going through. But this year I joined a rock climbing gym and I go all the time now. Like I go with a friend, I met people there. It's like super fun. It's very, very physical and I love it. It was something so different that I hadn't really done before. And so that is part of me, like, just getting back to the healthy me that I want to be and not staying in the space I've been in as far as like just recovering. So I think those are two really important things that I've kind of like taken with me and like want to continue on as I'm hopefully doing better.
So one of the things that I try to inspire myself with is what I call life wisdom. Sometimes they manifest themselves like mantras. I don't know if you have some kind of empowering mantra or some kind of words to live by. Do you have anything like that that resonates with you, that kind of motivates you and helps you to keep going?
No, I love a mantra though. I do. And I don't really have any personally, other than, which I feel is kind of basic. Like I always tell myself, you got this. Like when I'm going in the weeds, doing events and haven't eaten all day and ain't slept, I'm just like, hey, you got this. You got this. Just push through, get through. I'm always trying to motivate myself, but I don't have any like super fun, cool mantras that I just say all the time, but I am a mantra fan. So
You got this is a good one, because oftentimes when we're on the journey, we do need to motivate ourselves. And those 3 words are very powerful. In fact, I have a plaque on my desk where I have that, because when those demands are high, you have to be able to have something that you can say to yourself to trigger and remind you. And so You Got This is an excellent one, to be able to anchor into. So I love that. So I have this question that I think is a very phenomenal question. It's more introspective. And I want to ask it because I think sometimes we fail to recognize our own beauty. What about you is beautiful to you?
Oh, oh gosh, I'm gonna try not to get emotional because this actually just happened a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I do it so without thought that I don't, I didn't even think about this being a thing, but I guess I love how supportive I am of people, right? I'm not talking about work, which yes, obviously, but I'm talking about like my people, my friends, my boyfriend, my mother, my sibling, whoever. And it happens without a thought, right? To the point where like a friend of mine, her father passed away recently, unexpectedly. And I just did what I do. You know what I mean? Invited her over for Christmas, and then of course, once I told my mom what was going on, we ended up getting her like more gifts than we got each other. We just wanted to love on her and be that support for her. And a lot of other things happened too. This is just an example, but she ended up telling me a couple of days ago that like me and her other friend literally are the only reason she was able to press through after her father passed. And I was floored because to me, I just didn't think I was doing much other than what I felt like should be done for somebody that's dealing with that, right? And I literally was moved to tears when she said what she said. And it made me really think like, wow, I guess I do support people. Like, I think that is one of my superpowers that is just something I love to do in whatever aspect, right? So one of my line sisters is an artist. She paints. I purchased her paintings. Actually, she makes these cute little calendars and I have one that, I purchased. Mm-hmm. And she just does this dope art. And, I just feel like I am a huge cheerleader. My best friend is literally always like, oh my gosh, you're always hyping me. And I'm like, well, like, I don't know. For me, it's normal, but I'm like, you deserve to be hyped. You deserve to be supported, And I don't know if it's because like, hey, I would hope somebody would do this for me too. And I'm just kind of pouring out into the world what I want to see more of. But it is something I love to do. I will shout people's stuff to the rooftops until people get sick of me. And I will just support people till I can do nothing else. You know what I mean? So, but not even realizing this was a thing that I just was doing it. But yeah, that's something I love about myself. I love how I show up for other people. I really do. And especially after the fact, hearing how much it impacted them. You know what I mean? Like, and then I found out yesterday or the day before that she told my boyfriend that same thing. And he was like, oh yeah, such and such told me about that. And I again was about to cry. I was like, wait, what? Like, so it just was a really, really heartfelt thing and just made me really realize like support can mean so much and not just when stuff is good, when stuff is bad, that's when people really need it. So, and also I guess it could be because of when I was going through recovery too, a lot of people that I thought were going to show up for me that were my friends, I still ain't heard from them to this day. So it's like, I don't ever want to be that person. I want to always be there for my people and show up for them in whatever way, whether they're going through good or bad. And that's just something I love about myself that I didn't realize until like a couple days ago. So, yeah.
So one of the things I talk about often is how important it is for us to take care of us. We have to have a plan to take care of all aspects of who we are. In fact, taking care of us is one of the success superpowers. As we talk about self-care, many of us have relegated it to our nails, our toes, and our hair. But we all know we are more complicated, more beautifully complicated than those external features. And so I want to challenge you to really begin to think about what's necessary to care for all aspects of who you are. How are you caring for the wellness of your mind? How are you caring for the wellness of your emotions, of your heart? How are you caring for the wellness of your prosperity, of your resources, the wellness of your body, of your relationships? You see, as we talk about all of those different things, they all need care. And so I want to challenge you to really expand the context of your self-care plan. Begin to incorporate and establish relationships with people who can help you take good care of you. You see, one of the biggest revelations I now have around self-care is it's all about accepting. We have to be willing to accept the support, and we have to be willing to prioritize our needs. And so as you assess this, take action today. If there's an area of your life that needs attention, it behooves you to take care of you. All right, Ashley, now that we're back, I want to go a little bit deeper into some advice or wisdom that you may have as it relates to these different topics. So the first one is this: facing and overcoming fear. Tell us how you navigate fear in limiting beliefs.
Well, definitely something I'm still learning, of course. But one thing I realized, and I have this thing here too at my desk, which is exactly what I'm going to say, is feel the fear and do it anyway, right? I used to think like, why are you afraid? Don't be afraid to speak up, or don't be afraid to try this new thing. Well, really, it's like, no, it's okay to be afraid. It's like that saying of, if you have a goal and you're like too afraid to start, just start doing small things toward it. And then eventually you'll get to your goal. So to me, it's like, if you're afraid to do a thing, like let's say you're afraid to go sit at a bar by yourself, or for example, I was terrified to go rock climb by myself because I was like, I'm going to die. All these people are professionals. Why am I going? Random black girl in the gym. Like, I had all these thoughts and I was mortified, and I still got in my car and nervously drove 10 minutes to my gym. And now it's changed my life. I have friends there. I love the gym, right? So for me, I think what I learned how to do is operate in a little bit of fear. Whereas like the fear is still there for some things that you will go through in your life. It's more so finding yourself in that fear and finding that courage, and then getting on the other side of it. And now you achieve this thing of like confidence, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. And I was so scared. And now you're on the other side of it and you're like, wow, I'm so proud of myself. So I guess we need to stop trying to negate the fear in things. It's like, it's normal. If you're nervous, it's okay. It means you probably care about something. So you're just being human. So it's more so just find yourself in that space, love yourself in that space, and then walk through with that fear until you get to where you need to go. And then that fear eventually is gone. So that's something I've definitely been learning the last few months, from healing to work, to relationships, to friendships, to changing my number, all kind of things. It's like, it's okay to have some kind of fear about a thing, as long as you don't sit in that fear and not move. Like, that's where I feel like lose. You got to push through some stuff to get through that, so.
That's beautiful. You do have mantras. You may not have one you cling to, but you got mantras because you got them posted around similar to me. So I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So the next question I have is, what relationships have you found to be must-haves for yourself and for you to be able to do what you do?
Okay, well, the obvious ones are going to be some kind, whatever your spirituality is. For me, I am a Christian. I have a relationship with God. It might not be as traditional as like I go to church every Sunday and I'm on the church choir, whatever, which is funny because I'm also a PK. My dad is a pastor, but I don't necessarily traditionally go to church on Sundays and things like that, like I used to. But I am always constantly reading the Bible app, or having a conversation, or journaling about it, or praying, or listening to gospel. Like, I just think as long as you have some kind of relationship with that significant higher being, whatever, then that's a 100% relationship you need to manifest and continue on and make sure it stays, upkept. I guess also for me, I'm really big on, obviously me and my mother are like best friends. We are kind of very similar, the same person. I could talk to her about anything. I love her so much. She is my light, my guide, my compass. I run everything past her. All I want to do is make her proud. So that is a relationship that means the world to me. And then I have a few best friends that we've been through so much together. They've been through a lot. I've been through a lot. These are people I have had around for years, and I don't plan on them ever going anywhere. They understand me, they see me, which sometimes you feel like you're not really being seen or you're misunderstood, and you just have these core people that are like, they know exactly who you are. And I think if you have that, it's something you should always hold on to, because I just think nowadays in the world, it's so easy to be misunderstood. And honestly, as a Black woman, it's so easy to be misunderstood and taken wrong or considered whatever. And to just have people that see you is really important to me. So I really hold on to that. I think those are probably my most important relationships right now.
Those are beautiful. The next question I have for you is, what's your best advice for women who secretly want more, but are struggling to get out of their way?
Ooh, because I feel like that's something I've dealt with too. I'm really big on, I have so many like notebooks, and I don't necessarily even want to call them journals, because sometimes I feel like we throw that around a lot, and some people don't really like journaling. To me, it's more so collecting thoughts, right? So whether you're in your car or on your couch, I just think you should always have something nearby to just jot stuff down, because sometimes you get really good ideas. And I think sometimes we are so in our head, but nothing in our head ever gets out. Right? Maybe we don't talk to anybody about it, or we have all these lofty goals and we don't write them down, or we don't try to act on them, or whatever. I think even if it's in the notes app on your phone, like I have so many notes, and you can pin notes now too. So you can just have it ready right at the top, to just type thoughts in there, and whatever you're feeling at the moment, or something you saw that you want to look into later. But I think sometimes we get in our own way by not actually acting on anything, but keeping everything in our heads. And then 6 months go by, and that idea you had on your couch, now it's still just in your head. As opposed to if you had written it down somewhere, maybe you would have saw it on a rainy Sunday and be like, oh yeah, I wanted to research about how to start my own real estate company or something like that. And instead of it just being lost in all your thoughts, now you see it somewhere. You're like, oh, let me just Google something really quick. And like I said earlier, even if it's a small step, you still made some kind of like progress, as opposed to it just being in your head for the next 5 years and you never actually acting on it. So I think we don't need to necessarily say, oh, I want to go to real estate school and get my license in 3 months. Like, that's great. But like, what are you doing to really get towards that goal? What did you do today? What did you Google? What did you read? What article? It could be little things. It doesn't have to be this huge, lofty goal. I'm going to the gym 6 days a week. Like, just try to go twice. See how that goes. And then, you know what I mean? Just start, I guess, is the best advice I could have. And give yourself credit for that. Like, go to the gym twice and then go grab some coffee as a treat. Like, you still did something. It's better than binge watching a Netflix show and just kind of like being sad because you didn't do that thing you wanted to do. Like, you got to start somewhere. And I think that's the biggest thing to get out of your own way, is just like make some kind of an effort, whether it's really huge or super, super, super small, to just get started and eventually get to where you're trying to go.
That's awesome. I love it. All right. So around these parts, I love tapping into wisdom. And so I'm going to ask you these closeout questions, and we'll wrap up with this. What's your life wisdom? What would you tell your younger self about life if you could?
Oh man, I would tell my younger self that nothing that I'm doing is that serious. I struggle with anxiety. And it just one thing, and I'm telling myself this now, and it helps. It's like, hey, just calm down. There's no need for you to be up stressing about something. You are not a brain surgeon, like you're not doing anything that's going to affect literally somebody's life, and I think sometimes it's nice to get that woosah moment of like, that is so true. Like, what, like for work, what am I doing? Okay. Y'all didn't like the event where you got free food and free drinks. Okay. You can go home and watch a movie. Like, it's okay. Like nothing is that serious. So I would tell my younger self to just breathe and calm down and really look at what you're going through it about. Really look at it and think, how's this going to affect you in a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. And sit in that and really calm down. It's just not that serious. Now, if you are a brain surgeon, I really can't help you, but I will pray for you but if just regular normal stuff, it's just not that serious when you think about life in the grand scheme of things. And one thing that I always tell like my girlfriends, or I tell myself, because, a lot of us are single and we just want to be married and all the things. And I like to tell us that, hey, you know, we're 30, 35 years old. Remember, think back to all the lives you've lived in those 30, 35 years, right? Remember you from 20, remember 15-year-old you and 21, whatever. Think about all those people. And now imagine that you have at least 60 more years of life left, God willing, right? Imagine all the different lives you have yet to live. Like, I just want people to be mindful that we're not stuck at this age. We're not stuck where we are. You know, you have so much more left to see that you have no idea what's coming, right? So I always like to, when things get like really, really bleak, I always like to just remind myself and my friends, if they're ever going through it, like, this is where we are right now. This is temporary, but there's still so much more to happen and for you to see and experience. And if that can just give you like a glimmer of hope when things are dark, I think that can be a beautiful moment, because you just kind of like, okay, yeah, this sucks right now, but it's not forever. You know, sometimes you just got to go through stuff, and it could be preparing you for something, or it could just be something you have to go through, but it's not your forever. You're not going to be here forever. So I just always like to encourage myself of that fact, and my friends when we're talking about different things.
That's good. I love it. Love wisdom. What would you tell your younger self about love if you could?
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about some young stuff I did in love. I guess I would tell myself, like, kind of the same, like, don't take this stuff so serious. Like, this little boy, whatever that broke your heart this week, like, just that. And I would say, don't take stuff so seriously. And because I'm a very emotional person, and I'm sure a lot of women are, especially when it comes to dating, but like, look at the character of this person, right? Look past the fact that they're really cute, they got muscles, whatever. Like, look at their character. And why are you so upset about this person that's not even a good person? Like, forget the romance and all that stuff. Look at their character and see what kind of man and what kind of person they are. If they're not a good person, they're not going to be good to you. And I think 90% of us knew better with some of the people that we dated. You know what I mean? So I guess I would tell my younger self just to be more open-minded about that. You know, try not to be so clouded by the emotion and the physical attraction of whoever. Like, it's just so much deeper than that. And you owe it to yourself, honestly, for that real happiness, and you deserve so much more. I know that's so cliche, but like, gosh, younger me just was all over the place. So I would just tell her, like, just open your mind a little bit more. Yeah.
That's good. And then finally, happiness, wisdom. What would you tell your younger self about happiness if you could?
I would tell my younger self to always chase it. Always chase what makes you happy. It is not, you know, some people say some things are fleeting, and I don't think happiness is one of them. Like, obviously you'll have good days, bad days, but I think happiness can be achieved in an instant. You know, it's never not there. You have to just sometimes look a little harder for it, or change your perspective, or change your attitude, or let something go, even if it was upsetting at that second. It's like, okay, well, how much energy am I going to waste being mad at this? You know, you can literally decide to just be happy, or think of something that makes you happy, reflect on a memory. So just knowing that you can change your perspective on a thing and make yourself feel better, or do something to make yourself feel better, to me is, I feel like, the best advice I could give my younger self. Like, you know, this is something you can always strive to attain, and just be always striving for it, for yourself and people you love.
That's good. So tell us what's next for you and how people can get in touch with you. What's the best way?
I don't know. Work is busy. I'm going to visit my best friend in Portland next month. I've never been to Portland, so that's exciting. I'm just, you know, rock climbing and trying to keep my peace, and, you know, that's about it. But I guess I can be reached on my personal Instagram if you're interested, which is Green Queen Finney. I have a lot of plants and stuff on there, so that's what the name's about. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Awesome. You know, Ashley, your story is phenomenal. It's a true testimony of perseverance and healing and realization and revelation. And I love how you're being set up to really, like, prioritize yourself. Many of us don't learn that until way later than how old you are. And if you continue to lean into that, you are going to really build a life that you love, that has the experiences that you enjoy, the relationships that are meaningful to you, and you'll be able to continue to do the things that really light you up from the inside. And so that's what really intrigued me about you and your journey. So thank you for sharing your story with us today.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. And thank you again for allowing me this space to share. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, I'm sure you'll agree that there were some incredible nuggets that came out of this phenomenal conversation with Ashley. But what rings out the most to me is your piece is worth whatever action is necessary. You have to be courageous enough to introduce boundaries and also introduce rules of engagement when it comes to you prioritizing your needs. And oftentimes it will feel uncomfortable, but on the other side of really addressing and getting past the discomfort is your peace. Peace that is extremely valuable, and you deserve that. And so I'm so excited that Ashley took the steps to prioritize herself, her needs, and her happiness. I want to invite you to prioritize you. Prioritize all of the things that are important to you simply because you deserve that experience too. And I would be remiss if I did not offer you the opportunity to connect with me. You see, being connected with me could be the game-changing move for your life. I help women prioritize themselves, their success, and their happiness. And if that is something that you know you need to lean into, I want to invite you to book a call with me. You can access my calendar directly at www.callwithdenise.live. That is a time where we can connect with one another, and I may be able to help you come up with the right steps to move forward to your success, happiness, satisfaction, and fulfillment. And I would absolutely love to be a part of your success journey. And so be sure to access my calendar and book a time for us. Go to www.callwithdenise.live. And it's been good today. I want to continue to encourage you to keep tuning in, for the best is yet to come. I'll see you next week. Well, that's it, beautiful. Thank you for tuning in. Don't ever forget that you are truly blessed with life, love, and all the happiness your heart can hold. Be relentless in building a life you love without apology. I'm Denise Taylor, and you can always find me in our free Facebook community. It's Embrace Your Power. Easy to find. Now be sure to rate and review this podcast and share it with a friend. And make sure you subscribe so that we can stay connected each week. And remember, God has not given us a spirit of fear. He gave us power. So be sure to always embrace your power and go.